This video is sponsored by Full Moon Features. If you or someone you know loves horror collectibles, be sure to check out Full Moon's Tiny Terrors, the perfect gift this holiday season. For more information, click the link below, or stick around till the end of this video.
Ho, ho, ho.
Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And today, we are talking about a little story that dropped yesterday afternoon. Yes, as we were teeing up to go check out The Iron Claw, a story dropped on the Hollywood Reporter that we are very, very excited about. This is definitely something that I would say for a time we thought was pretty dead and probably not going to happen. And if we ever did see this happening, it would be under completely different circumstances. But no, it looks like Universal and Blumhouse are moving forward with The Wolfman. And not only that, there has been a change in some of the people behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So we're going to talk about all of that. Yes, this is definitely right up our alley. We are big werewolf fans on the channel. So, you know, when we got some big giant werewolf news like this, we got to talk about it. Luke, you saw this story come across your Twitter feed yesterday. How you feeling about it?
Definitely caught me off guard. Like you said, we hadn't heard any news about this in a long while. Was it 2021? I don't know if I had heard anything really.
It's been a couple years.
Yeah, certainly not recently. So I wasn't even expecting, I just figured it was dead in the water. And maybe in a few years, we'd hear some sort of rumblings about maybe revisiting the Wolfman. And, it, again, caught me by surprise because we talk about it on the channel all the time on how hard werewolf stories are to nail down and get right. And they're a big investment just to make sure that werewolf looks good. So when they had announced that, hey, this is still a project that we're pursuing, I mean, of course, I was excited, but I didn't know where they were going to go.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody really did. And, this has kind of had a rocky road, as it seems like most tellings of this story have been since the original, because I actually enjoy the original, or I'm sorry, I enjoy the original, of course, but I actually enjoy the 2010 remake for what it is. I think that Benicio del Toro, being such a huge fan of the Wolfman and what he brought to that role, is a huge plus. And I think the effects are great from Rick Baker. I mean, it's Rick Baker, so it's awesome. The story itself is meh, it's okay. I think that it doesn't really leave you with too much other than great effects and overall just kind of a fun time. It's a little corny too, but it's not a abomination by any means. But I mean, it just didn't do what people wanted it to do. People were expecting that movie to hit in a big way. And the fact that we have now Leigh Whannell actually confirmed to be coming back to do this after his last film being The Invisible Man, this is super exciting. I mean, he was originally attached to this project and then dropped out, and it was supposed to be Ryan Gosling and Derek Cianfrance taking charge of this. And I think that Leigh Whannell was going to stay on as was it a writer and a producer?
I believe so.
Yeah, and now it's and then dead in the water. We didn't hear anything about it ever since that announcement, which I love Derek Cianfrance. I love Ryan Gosling. But then, just yesterday, they're like, nope, Leigh Whannell is back in the director's chair, and it's actually going to be Christopher Abbott who is stepping into the lead role, which you brought up might not actually be the Wolfman.
Yeah, they have, I've seen a couple conflicting reports, not necessarily conflicting, but the verbiage is kind of a little bit off, where they mentioned Christopher Abbott's going to be, basically a family man, where this predator is terrorizing his family. But then as they describe Christopher Abbott, they kind of almost describe him in the sense that he's going to be, the title character, the Wolfman. So I don't know exactly what this is going to lead to. I'm guessing maybe it means that, yes, there is this other werewolf out there, but Christopher Abbott may be the one that is, has the curse of the wolf or something, and is kind of dealing with that. So I don't know if that leads to any potential, nuggets of the story. If this is going to be maybe a condensed, there's this other werewolf out there, he gets bitten, and maybe we're just maybe it's like a cycle of the moon, where it's like he's kind of getting woofier, as to throw a Silver Bullet reference out there, as the full moon approaches, and he's dealing with that. I don't know. When we look at Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man, he used a little bit more of a grounded take in terms of the suit and everything that they use there. So I'm curious as to how he's going to approach the Wolfman here.
Yeah, and that was something that I thought about a lot too, was just how grounded the Invisible Man was, and how like they approached that from a very scientific, more modern perspective. And there was something in doing a little bit of research for a video that is going to be coming eventually, probably not as soon as I was originally hoping, about the 2010 remake, and then also the original Wolfman that I've been working on slightly. um, I had read that initially, the very first approach for the Wolfman script from 1941 had the Wolfman being all in Lawrence Talbert's head, and how it was just something that he saw himself as, but in all reality, he stayed a normal man. And he was committing these horrible acts of violence. So I'm wondering if they're going to pull from that. Now, I think that would be a huge mistake, personally. It's not going to give audiences what they're expecting. It's a clever twist, but just like the Universal saw back then, and I think as audiences have grown to know and love our hairy two-legged beast, that's what we're looking forward to, is seeing that. And I mean, I guess you could have that by showing him, or whatever this lethal predator is, as the Wolfman. But if you go and just say, nope, it was all in his head, it kind of pulls that punch. And I don't think that's what people want. I think if you can do it very clever, maybe. And I don't want to discount Leigh Whannell, because again, his take on the Invisible Man was very unique, very cool, and again, very budget friendly, which you stated earlier. Wolfman movies, they don't necessarily, they need a little bit more money behind them if you're going to get that makeup done right, and hopefully they do prosthetics. I really don't want them to go full CG.
Yeah, and as Leigh Whannell is attached to this, whatever avenue he goes down, I do have a lot of confidence in him because I am a big fan of the Invisible Man. Uh, but like you said, if this does become more of a beast in his own mind, I think that would be a mistake when you title something the Wolfman, and horror fans are gonna go in expecting to see a werewolf. I think you kind of need to deliver on that aspect of it, because as we peruse a lot in the low budget werewolf filmography there, I think there is a lot that kind of use that scenario, and they kind of pull back a little bit. And I think you really do need to deliver in both actuality of a beast, and then also, like you said, hopefully they go the prosthetic route and try to go as practical as they can, because I would love for them to harken back to, obviously An American Werewolf in London. It's just something I think that they have to do in order to really get this right. But with Leigh Whannell kind of, you know, having the how he is in the horror space, I guess is what I'm saying, is he knows what horror fans want. You look at the partnership he's had with Blumhouse and what they have accomplished thus far. I think he is going to be very in tune for what the horror fans are going to want, and he's going to deliver.
Yeah, and I think that he'll do a very solid job. I think that he does have an understanding, and again, a great understanding of low budget filmmaking. Just look
Yes.
at the stuff that he has done. I mean, from his work with James Wan on the original Saw, to Upgrade being not such a high budget film in and of itself, but still very quality, kind
Very
of
well
harkening
done.
back to that grindhouse aesthetic. I think that he's going to bring, hopefully, a really impactful vision and voice to this, that I think is going to cater to both horror audiences and fans of werewolves themselves. I think that one of the big sticking points here that I could see some backlash coming from, which, I mean, we can't deny that Blumhouse did produce that first Invisible Man, and that was very solid. But Blumhouse has not had the greatest track record as of recently. So it seems like they've had a lot more misses than successes, as opposed to some of their bigger tentpole projects. And this is kind of lining itself to be that way. So does that worry you at all, Luke, with us kind of going into more of a modern take on Blumhouse? Or is this something where it's like, you think the right team's behind it? You think that, there's a little bit more love and care that's going to be put on screen?
With Leigh Whannell involved, I think I have a little bit more confidence in this in terms of how I could see it turning out. Blumhouse has always been hot and cold. I think they have some real hits and they have some real stinkers out there. But looking at something like Five Nights at Freddy's, where the way they had tackled the actual creatures themselves, I think taking that and transferring it over to the Wolfman, I think, we could be in for something really special if they put that love and care in. And I do think with Leigh Whannell kind of having, chartering the course in a sense in trying to find this film's way, I think, he's going to be very adamant about the things that he wants. And Jason Blum is, he does have a love for a lot of these horror films, obviously. So I think he's going to want to take this property that has been, such an old tale and do it justice because I mean, everyone in Hollywood is aware. You look at all the articles, all the audiences, all the fans are aware that a lot of werewolf films are, we're hungry for a great
Hmm.
werewolf tale, and hasn't produced in a very long time. So I am excited for it. I think this team, yes, while they are hot and cold, I think right now I'm looking at it through a positive lens until we actually get some tangible evidence to say that this is not going the way we had wanted to. So right now, with all this information coming out, Christopher Abbott attached, we still, Ryan Gosling still is an executive producer. I still think that right now we're all looking in a very positive direction. So I'm still excited for this one.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, because I cringed a little bit when I first saw the Blumhouse thing come up, but I had to really sit there and think about it. With their collaboration with Invisible Man, I just checked this too. They also did produce Upgrade, so that's something where it's like they've done it. And I was thinking initially, first reading this story, I was like, well, damn, this is probably going to be PG-13. But then looking at it, both Invisible Man and Upgrade were given the R rating. So I am kind of sitting here crossing my fingers that this will be, more of a hard R approach to the Wolfman, story. I think that, that's another key element to this. I want to see that, the original Wolfman is not very violent at all. I mean, if anything, it's damn near rated G by today's standards. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think that they were on the right path by making the 2010 Wolfman R-rated, and I think that some of the gory, violent effect scenes are some of the best parts of that movie that they absolutely nailed. So I'm really hoping they can bring that to this. But again, I think we need to see more from it. We need to see what the approach is going to be, because again, the Invisible Man was very modern. It was very much a unique, more scientific take on it than just having someone develop a formula that turns them invisible. So if they're going for something like that, maybe they could skirt by with the PG-13 and it'd still be pretty effective. I mean, Megan was also pretty effective, and by looking at that unrated cut, it seems like we really didn't miss much. So I think I could go either way, but I'm still always going to be a proponent, especially for these Universal Monsters movies. Go R-rated, go all out, give the horror fans something real tangible here. And obviously give the werewolf some teeth, man. Show some violence, show some gore. I want to see that. And then the other thing that I want to touch on, and then we'll kind of wrap this up here because I don't want to overly speculate. But this is a unique one. I was thinking, looking into all this, maybe we do have somebody in the makeup chair that has already worked with, Blumhouse and has worked very effectively with them. Do you think we could see somebody like a Christopher Nelson come in and give their, take on the Wolfman? Now, for those of you who don't know, that's the guy who has been working with David Gordon Green on the Halloween films. And, obviously the effects in the Halloween films are never a complaint for us. Like they've always been excellent.
Yeah, I think you're going to need someone a little seasoned with this one. It seems sometimes, um, again, we kind of keep beating a dead horse where the effects for a lot of werewolves out there just don't really hit, and if they don't, it really does take you out. So I think you're going to need someone with a great understanding here, and like you said, the Halloween films, special effects, regardless of the story, don't ever disappoint. So I could see someone like that. Tackling the actual werewolf itself, just because they do have a working relationship. And, I think you're going to play with the deck of cards you've been dealt. So I think, that would not be out of the question. I just hope, they do a really great job with this thing, because like I said, if the werewolf is not something that is going to please an audience, it's going to take you out of the story, because in a sense that werewolf is a central character, and if it just falls flat, it's going to really take you out and not really build the tension that we're looking for.
No, I agree. It's you got to hit it with on the head with that. And looking at it, I mean, Rick Baker, he's still kicking. He's still doing stuff. If you follow him on Instagram, he's always posting little projects and things. I think like as of recently, when I saw he was working on like a sculpt for a some kind of a Frankenstein thing, very personal project, not something that he's doing for a film, as far as I know. So it's like, could they potentially bring him back and get him back in the chair? I mean, I know he kind of already lived that dream. He already did that with 2010 Wolfman, but I mean, the guy really built his career on the back of a werewolf film and went on to do all these other great movies. So it's like, could he be enticed to come back? I'd love to see it, but I just don't know.
Let's get Jason Baker in there in case.
Hey,
You never know.
Blumhouse, he's worked
Yeah.
with them, so
Yeah.
you could
So,
definitely get it. That's the thing about werewolf movies, man, especially when you do something as high profile as the Wolfman, is like you start talking about all of these effects artists and you want to see who's going to bring their touch to the film. Now, do you have a point there? I don't want to
well,
jump to...
and that's the thing is, these werewolf properties are so touch and go, where we don't see them too often, that we don't even know. A lot of modern special effects artists don't even get their chance to ever tackle a werewolf, because they're not churning out these films. The 80s had a handful of great werewolf films, but other than that, we didn't really see them after that. So a lot of these great special effects artists often never even get a chance to tackle a werewolf.
Agreed. And the last point I want to touch on, and then we'll completely wrap it up here, is there is no secret here. A lot of people have also pointed it out. This has decided to put itself on the exact same weekend as Terrifier 3. So we now will have a grudge match between the Wolfman and Art the Clown. And I mean, that's going to be interesting. I think that's a mistake. I think that they should move that forward, because obviously, even though Art the Clown will probably be a little bit, or I should say Terrifier 3 will be a little bit of probably a more limited release at first. I don't know how they're approaching it. Maybe they'll go full wide scale release on the first weekend. I don't see why not. But, I just don't know about that one. I think that the Wolfman, although a legacy property, it needs some space. You should have definitely thought about putting this maybe at the beginning of October, but then again, you're talking about competing with Saw, which just had a wonderful weekend. So, I don't know. I think maybe they move this thing around. I love that this is trying to come out in October. I think that's awesome. But hey, maybe even move this thing, to just the middle. Give at least a week's distance. So that way it's like we have Saw, and then we come into October with the Wolfman, and then we end with, obviously Terrifier 3.
Yeah, I can easily see the Wolfman being moved. I think that is just a penciled in date for right now. I think it'll definitely come out in October, but considering how rabid the Terrifier fans are, I could easily see them saying, we don't want a piece of Art the Clown, so we're gonna move our beast up a few weeks. Let's take a look and see when the full moon falls in October, and let's place it on that weekend. But
That's a good call. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I think, I don't think anyone's going to want to step in the ring with Art the Clown right now. So I could easily see this one being moved up toward the beginning. This could, kick off the Halloween season.
And I think that would be great. Depending on how the project looks, depending on how everything is shaping up, I think that would be awesome. Because I would hate for this to be like, a really solid film and then just get absolutely buried, because, obviously everybody's so excited for Terrifier 3. And that is the talk of the town and the horror community. But also, I mean, this could be a very awesome weekend for horror fans, where it's like, yeah, you make the time and you go do the double feature. You go see,
I would.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I think, and we kind of did that with Terrifier 2, except we got to go home with this being Blumhouse, and now I'm just making this video way too long. They're really big on that day and date, and it worked out for Five Nights at Freddy's. So hey, maybe they will send this thing to Peacock and in theaters. So maybe we can do that, where we go to the theater, see Terrifier 3, and then we come home and see the Wolfman. I mean, I would watch this on a big screen just out of respect for Leigh Whannell and the creative team. And it's the fucking Wolfman. Of course, I'm gonna be there in theaters to see it. But yeah, double features, I'm definitely down for it. But I think the smarter move money wise, just move, just on either side of the
Just
weekend
pivot.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, give Art at least, I would say, give him that weekend, and then the back half leading into November. Take the front half of October. I would rather see Wolfman and Saw go against each other than Art the Clown and Wolfman. I just think Art is too big right now.
Yeah, same for me. I'm not, clamoring to see the next Saw installment. So, if it's gonna
I'm
compete,
excited.
yeah, I'm gonna
I
I'm easily going Wolfman.
I agree. But alrighty, guys, let us know what you guys think of this. This is definitely big piece of news. We're going to be following up on this, just like we've been keeping you guys updated with Terrifier, which we just posted a video about all the casting, all the information that we learned this week about that. So check that thing out if you are interested. And yeah, this is exciting stuff, man. I mean, we've been waiting, clamoring for a big budget werewolf film for a little while, and looks like this one, even though not a giant budget by today's standards, this is still going to be bigger than most of the things we get with werewolf films these days. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Really happy to see this thing finally seeing the moonlight. And yeah, that's about going to wrap us up here. So I guess until next time, I am Dylan Knoll.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.